Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever it is to you, and welcome to SpeedGaming for a Link to the Past Randomizer League race here in the playoffs. My name is Tyler Assault. I'm joined in the booth by Adirondack Rick. Rick, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. Here we are, game number 3 of the Dark World Conference Finals between Fandrana Drifters and Team Awesome. Fandrana Drifters turning to Jet082 in a 2-0 series hole, with Ramond trying to clinch things off to win a berth into next week's finals. It's going to be a tough round here for Jet because Team Awesome, they've been pretty awesome throughout this entire league.
Yeah, absolutely. Team Awesome, the defending league champions, but Fandrana Drifter turning to Jet, the reigning main tournament champion here. So this should be an absolute heck of a race, fighting for Fandrana's Drifters playoff lives here. Looking forward to this fantastic match.
Absolutely. So Jet here is 2-0 last week against Feremi. We'll give an interview if we win. Ended up taking that to a game number 5, a decisive game number 5, won games 3 and 5 in that set, but have their hands full when it comes to Team Awesome. Team Awesome, they've only have lost one game this entire season overall. They were 14-0 in the regular season, took first place in the Skullwoods division. They beat Team Hime 3-0 in the divisional championship, and then last week in the semifinals beat Last Locationers 3-1. We're underway. What mode do we have for this race, Tyler Salt?
We have open all dungeons, key sanity with some randomized swords. This is going to be an execution heavy mode here. Of course, you got to make it through all of those dungeons, all of the regular light and dark world dungeons, plus Ganon's Tower, plus Aghanim's Tower in order to defeat Ganon. And we got all of those dungeon items shuffled as well, as both of our runners end up with bombs pretty quickly from Sanctuary Chest and from that first tree pull.
Jet getting a very, very beneficial tree pull, which is all bombs. So he's going to go for a maximum of 10 bombs heading to the village, and well, he will get another one right there. We're going to get our first real check here of this seed. That is going to be to the Lumberjack Ledge, and it does turn out to be a compass. So we're not going to need to be Aghanim in order to get something important up there.
That's always nice. In all dungeons, runners typically want to, if at all possible, save that Aga Tower climb for the end of the seed. After you finish Ganon's Tower, puts you right there. Mirror, take care of it right then. You get a nice health refill before the Ganon fight. Of course, if you need to do it earlier, that's fine too, because you got to do it anyway. But not for the Lumberjack Ledge today.
But also what this could possibly mean is, because if there's nothing important up there inside of the Lumberjack tree, the Castle Tower keys could be really, really difficult.
Yeah, those 2 Castle Tower keys can be just about anywhere in the seed, and knowing that there's not anything on the Lumberjack Ledge means that you're not guaranteed to see them right away. So those are oftentimes a bottleneck in these all dungeon seeds for sure.
And you possibly could be searching Ganon's Tower to try to figure out the last or both of the Aga Tower keys, as Jet's going to be the first one of these 2 to head over to the village. The big difference is Ramond was checking the Uncle area, didn't get anything of major importance. Ended up getting the ether to Link's house, but we know Jet's going to be picking that up before he heads down to the South Shore area. So we got a substantial amount of checks here, one of them being the hammer.
Always a really nice find early on, especially before you get a sword, as well as that small key to Desert Palace. That's a nice find to have as well. That can be one of those single small keys for a dungeon that can be kind of trolly. And we have our first big key of Ice Palace. Always nice to have that before you go into Ice Palace.
that is one of the keys that we definitely need to have at some point in time. Now, these runners, they know how to do the tricks inside of Ice Palace, whether it be the Ice Palace bomb jump or the Ice Breaker. So they technically don't need that Ice Palace big key, but logically, you do need those keys. Heading here through the well, we get ourselves our first sword, and we get ourselves the second big key. This is to the Dark Palace.
That's a nice one to have to go along with those 6 small keys in pod. That big chest in pod is a bit of a pain to make your way back to if you need to double dip it. So nice to have that.
So as we head here through the village, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk for just a moment while I just look something up real fast in regards to this matchup. So go ahead and take it away.
Jet finding the mirror there in the chicken hut. Always a nice find. Mirror locks a lot of stuff, so a lot of runners like to find it kind of late in their run. But for me, at least, I like having it early. It just makes moving around the world a lot nicer. We have a big 20 in the tavern. And then Jet is going to be making his way down to the library and the race game. Ramond will not be too far behind.
I do want to point out that since this is the conference finals, this was going to be determined by the team with the best record overall, as far as who was going to be the higher seed. Jet, being part of Fandrana Drifters with a 13-1 regular season record, as well as having lost twice, or rather 4 times in the course of these playoffs, they ended up being the lower seed as far as determining what mode we were going to be playing today. Jet's veto was inverted.
That's right. The higher seeded player gets to choose the settings for this power player matchup, and then the lower seeded player gets to veto one mode. There we go. As we find both of our runners are going to be picking up the Moon Pearl here on the race game. So that's 2/3 of our way to Dark World access.
So I'm kind of interested here in the fact that we chose, or Ramond ended up choosing to go with a key sanity as far as what mode we were doing for this game number 3, because we know Jet's past key sanity was a major reason why he took it to a game 4, then to a game 5 in the conference semifinals against Fermi. Will give us a win interview if we win. Key sanity is one of his milieus, and it's just interesting the fact that Team Awesome and Ramond decided to go with a key sanity mode for this matchup.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that pays off for them. Here is Ramond is going to be showing us our South Shore checks first as he heads into the dam. Then have another big
ourselves
key.
The Tower of Hera big key, which is a good big key to have because, well, we know the thing about Hera Pot, and we know what you can leave behind because of Hera Pot. We don't have to worry about that anymore.
That's always nice to have. Get the Zora money care package here, 3/5 of it underwater. Chat pointing out that Ramond plays a ton of cross keys, so he's perfectly comfortable in this key sanity mode as well.
And yeah, I get that with Ramond doing a lot of cross keys and all dungeons key sanities. It just seems like this kind of played into Jet's favor more than anything else, as Jet removed inverted from the possibility of the pool, but Ramond just it seems like this could make for a more close match than we would otherwise see. Jet going into Hyrule Castle, which is a check that we didn't see from Ramond earlier. We get ourselves the first of the Ganon Tower small keys, but meanwhile, Ramond just got himself something very nice inside of the mini Moldworm cave.
Yeah, that's the flute, and he is going to nope out of there right away, save in Sanctuary, and activate that really, really nice find early on. Opens up Death Mountain for sure. In fact, can now make it up to Tower of Hera and beat it, although can't full clear it. Oh, as Jet finds the boots in front of Escape. Here we go.
That is a very nice find here for Jet. That will add up to a little bit of a faster check when he makes his way down toward the south shore. And of course, it'll also make his walk back to Kakariko Village when he goes to activate the flute. But Ramond right now, with the compliments of the flute, the mirror, as well as the hammer, now has access to a lot of Death Mountain. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him head there soon.
Yeah, chat bringing up that apparently, and I didn't even notice this, Ramond skipped the back of Blind's hut. Is that true? I didn't catch that. And maybe the bottle vendor as well.
I think that may have been at the period where I was just trying to look up some information about what was the mode that was vetoed. Ramond ending up purchasing the bottle vendor. Wasn't really happy with the what the bottle vendor decided he wanted to give him this time around.
Yeah, those compasses in Key Sanity are, I guess, slightly more useful than they are in your more basic modes. They will, once you have them, they will give you a counter of how many chests, how many items you've acquired so far in that dungeon. Of course, these runners at this level, they know exactly how many items they're looking for. So not a great find there for 100 rupees.
As Jet went through the dark rooms to head to Dark Cross and comes up with the map to Weiss Palace. Not necessarily a find that you want to see, but of course the maps do have a little bit of a use in this mode.
Yeah. Compasses tell you how many chests you've opened in the dungeons. The maps are the only thing that are going to tell you what the prize is for completing a dungeon, whether it's a pendant or a crystal. And of course, they've got to beat all the dungeons no matter what in all dungeons, and so it's a little bit less important, perhaps. But it is still key to keep track of that. It can be important information. We saw the small key, first of 6 small keys pod up there on. Spectacle Rock. That's the name of that thing. Yeah.
That crater. So we do have the Tower of Hera big key. So naturally, the idea, could we find something of significance inside of the Tower of Hera? We don't know if this is going to be a pendant or a crystal, but it doesn't really matter in all dungeons mode.
Yeah, not really. And without the Hera small key or a fire source, we'll be isolating the Hera basement. But honestly, there's a pretty good chance we would have been doing that anyway. Kind of an annoying check to make. But we can get the other 5 items out of here.
So Jet's about to get his flute. Will he end up doing a save and quit to head over to activate it? At that point, he'll probably check the bonk rocks as Ramond gets himself a compass. This one is to Turtle Rock. That is not something he needs to see. And we see Ramond setting up a bomb jump, pulls it off perfectly, and he gets himself a curved stick.
Love the OK boomerang there. People hate on the red one. I think it's okay.
Not necessarily what you want to see.
Oh, no, not at all. But it's nice to have, I guess. It's a good stun item that can be helpful early on while you're still relatively low on items. And of course, you can check that stun prize, and it lets you do some more shenanigans later.
So Ramond's now going to be going up against our first boss. It is Moldorm, and once again, we do not know if this is going to be for a pendant or for a crystal. It doesn't really matter in this mode. But Ramond giving 3 hammer hits to the Moldorm. He is down, and we get ourselves a better sword. And it is for a crystal.
Jet's popping up here to check bonk rocks. This is some new information.
And so Ramond's heading in over here to the east side of the mountain where we're going to be getting a whole bunch of checks. And it does turn out to be a piece of heart for Jet.
Vanilla.
We got a piece of heart on the island. Another vanilla.
Yeah, the only 2 out of logic checks that we've seen so far have been these dark rooms. At least we've seen Dark Cross from Jet, and he's rescuing the old man up here as well, which is slightly out of logic without the lamp. But this is a check that almost everybody can manage. It's the easiest dark room in the game.
The interesting part is that Ramond didn't do this.
With the flute, it's not as important. It's nice to have that save and quit spot, but maybe Ramond not wanting to get too far out of logic here. We'll see what Jet pulls out from the old man. Ooh, and it's a glove. That is
so that means,
interesting to say the least.
Here's the thing. Is if Ramond pulls out the other glove on the seaside of Death Mountain, that means Jet has accessible to him 3 additional checks that Ramond won't have until he gets to the other side of the mountain.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And of course, Ramond doesn't even have those boots yet from the front of Escape, hasn't done that. So this could turn out to be a nice early break for Jet. We'll see how it plays.
As we get 20 rupees, there's the other glove!
There's the yep.
As we get another... Oh, that's a good key to have. We get ourselves a Swamp Small.
Yep, that you need that to do anything in Swamp Palace other than open it up and check the first chest, that small key right away there. So that's a nice one to have. Another one of those that can be pretty trolly and wait until a long time. Ramond is not gonna rescue the old man. Is going straight into the dark world. We're gonna see Hype Cave here in just a minute.
He might orphan off the mids for just a little bit. So Jet may have an opportunity if there's something good in the 3 checks that he's able to get by way of having the sequence broken the gloves at this point.
Time will tell. It's certainly going to, or it has paid off for Jet, and honestly, with the sirens.
Okay, I realize that Ramond not checking the old man is dangerous, but we didn't have to send the police after him.
I got nothing to do with that.
We get another Dark Palace small key in the Hype Cave. That was really the only thing of significance inside of there. So, as far as the Hype Cave is concerned this time around, we are going to find out what our 5-6 crystal is by visiting the bomb shop.
That is Misery Mire and Skull Woods. We need to beat those in order to have access to the Pyramid Fair.
So Jet now with his hammer out is going to do the same 3 hammer hits to Moldorm. As Ramond now heading on over towards Stumpy. Oh, Jet getting shoved off. Moldorm 1, Jet 0.
That Moldorm, very pushy.
As Ramond now pulling out a small key. This is another Dark Palace small key. This one will be number 3 in the series.
That's a lot of stuff that we can check in Pod with 3 small keys, the hammer, the mirror, and the big key. Without the bow, there are shenanigans to get through that bow locked side without the bow, but that's quite a bit in Pod.
And without a bottle, we don't have the way to pull off the potion portion of the mimic clip. As Ramond now heading on over towards the digging game, where any number between 1 and 30 will yield the item here. Hopefully we can get it within 30 seconds, which usually is the case when you're doing as much as 30 digs. As Jet's heading over here to the east side of the mountain. Now the question is what is in those 3 chests that Ramond had no chance of getting into?
Ooh, just a map at the digging game. Not even going to pick it up. Who needs a map in all dungeons?
Yeah, Ramond right now with the mirror out is going to go through Kakariko Village, and then he's going to come out to the other portal on the north side of the village and start working on that side there. No, he's going to head on over to Ice Rod Cave and prove me wrong.
And this is one of those checks that never really gets any better. So with the flute, this is may as well take care of that right now. And Jet didn't show us this, so this is going to be new information. Ooh.
Red cane.
The glitch stick over there in Ice Rod Cave. That is not only all 100% required, of course, in all dungeons, but opens up. I guess my word of the day is shenanigans today. That gives us some nice stuff that we can do when we get to Swamp Palace and Ice Palace.
And there's the Titan Mitts for Jet right now as Ramond's heading on over to where I thought he was going to be going before he checked Ice Rod Cave, but it was a good thing that he did check it because it gives him another required item in this seed. Now Jet with the mirror on out, it's going to head on through the portal, head to see what's over here in the Super Bunny Cave. I'm now heading over to the chest game. Gonna do these 3 checks and then probably check the first 4 instead of Thieves Town. Since we don't have the big key, we can't do much else in there. Super Bunny Cave has a piece of heart and 20 rupees.
So no immediate payoff on those Titans mitts. With the boots, Jet can check 1 chest in Hookshot Cave. That first chest is in Logic without the hookshot, so you can bonk over there as the brewery turns up just 3 bombs. And looks like we need Ether for Turtle Rock, which, hey, we have.
Which both runners have. And just answering somebody in chat here, Regro is asking, how does Ramond have the Swamp Palace small Kiba? No mitts. It's because Ramond didn't rescue the old man. Bombos was on the bonk chest.
Okay, so we don't know if we're going to need that to get into Misery Mire, but it does let Jet get into Ice Palace as Ramond takes the flippers out of the front of Thieves Town.
Flipper's a very, very decent pickup here, and this will put everything that is Zora region related into Logic here for Ramond, who seems to be kind of operating on the idea of staying within Logic. So for those of you cheering on Team Awesome, would love to see a lamp show up real soon to get Ramond to check the old man, which I'm sure Ramond can do on his own, but it would put the old man into Logic. But by the way, this does tell us a lot about this seed in the sense that we know that the Mire area, nor Misery Mire itself, Ice Palace, or Turtle Rock cannot have the lamp.
Yeah, a lot of places that lamp can't be. Still a lot of places that lamp can be here that we haven't checked yet. So we'll have to see where that comes up. Jet is taking his Titan's mitts, his flute in his mirror. He's going to check the Misery Mire area right away. This is a pretty common early play when you have the mitts in the mirror. Come over here. You get to know what medallion you're going to need for Misery Mire. It is Quake there. And with the mirror, you can check Checkerboard Cave, these 2 chests in Mire Shed, and perhaps even dip into Desert Palace with that small key. A heart container and 10 arrows in the shed. Not much there for today.
And the one thing about Desert is if we find the lamp there, that means that we are going to be finding the book somewhere. Somehow. And soon. As Jet's going to go ahead and check the Desert Ledge, and the Desert Ledge turns out to be a small key. This one, another of the Ganon's Tower small keys to put them at 2. Ramond checking the first section of Skull Woods. Get himself a small key to Dark Palace. There is... What was that on the torch?
I think that was a small key, if I'm not mistaken. I thought it was.
I thought it was,
Jet didn't pick it up. There's a bottle there.
That's why I wanted to get confirmation from you on what he ended up picking up. It turns out to be 50 rupees as we get the ice rod in Skull Woods.
Oh, won't be searching for that today. I would have been surprised if it had been a key that he left behind. I am not surprised that he left 50 rupees behind. He pulls a second bottle out of Desert Palace.
And the single arrow. But 2 bottles inside of Desert makes me think,
Maybe a pod play is in the offing for Jet. We've already seen a little bit of willingness to go out of logic from him. Those bottles let him glitch into the bow locked side there with upwards of 4 keys out there. Jet only has 2 of them right now, but there's quite a bit over there in Palace of Darkness that we can look at now.
There's one other place we're going to be taking a look at while we're over here in the desert area, and that is Zagina. And Ramond, at some point in time, needs to get into Hyrule Castle to at least get the boot so he can be running at the same level that Jet is. Just a map to Dark Palace as we get a heart container at the Graveyard Ledge for Ramond, but he's not done yet. This route looks like this is going to wrap up at Catfish. Actually, no, it might wrap up at Zora at this point.
Yeah, that'd actually be pretty nice. He hasn't... I think he did the ledge before... Oh, he doesn't have the boot, so he can't check King's Tomb. But he can, with those flippers, head over and check out Catfish, plus then mirror over to Zora, like you said. And then we might be seeing him head over into Palace of Darkness here.
Have we seen Ramond try to use the boomerang at all to see what the stun prize is? And the reason I'm asking this is because he is 52 rupees short of being able to purchase the Zora item.
Yes, he is. We have not seen him check the stun prize here. He's going to turn in the mushroom first. Or I haven't seen him check it, at least.
Chad's telling us it's hearts.
Well, that's not super helpful.
Also, Ramond is going to be grinding up some rupees.
Yeah, as if he is listening to you there. Turns in the mushroom, doesn't wait around to pick it up, is going to come down here to the Desert Rupee Cave and grind out some rupees so he can make that purchase there at the Ice Rod, or excuse me, at Zora. And that was Tempered Sword from... and I don't think that Ramond did check Pinball Room.
That was about what I was about to ask there. Did he not check the pinball room? Because in that case, that is a definite advantage here for Jet, who is definitely pulling out all the stops in this match between these two. A must-win for Vendrena Drifters if they want to stay alive here in the conference finals.
Yeah, and you wonder if, I mean, like, considering that Ramond plays this mode a lot, is what Chad said, a little strange then that, you know, I was thinking, like, why would he skip pinball if he didn't have a key? But and it used to be the case that chest there in the pinball room was always a key, but as of version 31 of the randomizer, it's not anymore, and that can be an item, and it turned out to be a pretty nice item there, that Tempered Sword. So we'll see if Ramond makes his way back over there at some point, where maybe we'll find out where that other sword is.
Something that Chad has just mentioned here is that with Ramond being a cross keys runner, there's potential of that being a guaranteed key in cross keys no matter what.
That would be
especially
yeah, that'd be a tough.
With the
sorry.
I was going to just finish on by saying, which is a really rough place to end up leaving when you're in a cross entrance shuffle.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot more. That makes a lot of sense now. If you know, if it's always a key there, if you play a lot of cross keys there. But unfortunate that it's going to bite him here in this match.
So Ramond's going to be heading into the pyramid, or not the pyramid, the waterfall ferry. Gets himself a big key. This one to Ganon's Tower. So here's hoping that we find our castle tower smalls as well as our remaining pendant dungeon findings before we get to Ganon's Tower. Now, this is a check that Jet's going to be making. Is King's Tomb. The lamp could be here. And it's not. It's a map. This one is to Swamp Palace. The reason why the lamp could be theirs, because that is technically not Mitt's blocked because of the fact that we had the boots accessible to us. We also had the mirror accessible to us as well.
Now, those boots, I believe, actually are still technically out of logic because of Hyrule Castle key logic. Although he's going to find the key back here, so never mind.
Fire
But there's
Rod.
a big key on Zora, and it's Skull Woods there, but the Fire Rod, much bigger deal.
Not technically, because remember, this being a key sanity, Hyrule Castle is.
Oh, that's
who
right.
knows
Yeah,
where.
of course. Yeah, so we don't know where. So actually, those boots technically out of logic as well. Although Hyrule Castle key logic, is a suggestion at most.
Well, Ramond's about to pick up that Fire Rod, which will give him maybe the idea of defeating Mothula, rather, in order to get his first or second dungeon finished off. We find out that the sick kid is yielding us some bombs this time around.
Thought the boots were in the second chest in Escape.
They were in the boomerang chest.
Yeah, they were in the boomerang chest. And so if you without that Hyrule Castle small key, the logic says that only that first chest in the front is in.
It was in the boomerang chest, and the first chest had a Ganon's Tower small key. Of course, again, the big question is where is the other Hyrule Castle key?
Jet taking his Fire Rod and rushing on back to the back of Skull Woods. Will take down Mothula here.
And Ramond is taking his Fire Rod and walking back to Skull Woods. Those boots being in Hyrule Castle is very unfortunate here for Ramond, more because of the fact that, okay, if you get boots and it's like 10-15 minutes difference between the two, it's not a big deal. But if you're starting to get towards 40-50, maybe an hour's difference between when one runner gets the boots and the other, that is when it becomes a big difference.
Yeah, it's just that little bit faster there. When you're moving around, makes things just a little bit smoother, and so that wouldn't be surprised. We saw Jet skip the Skullwoods big chest, but fortunately for him, just a big 20 in there, as that was a lightning quick Mothula.
That's because he doesn't have the Skullwoods big key.
Yes,
the
of course,
first of our Castle Tower keys. The interesting thing here for Ramond is the fact that he does not have the Tempered Sword. He doesn't have it out of the pinball chest. But I know Ramond's abilities here, and he will have no difficulties with the Master Sword Mothula, but it's just more of a added ability that Jet has over Ramond right now to maybe add to the gap.
Yeah, like at this point, these runners should be perfectly comfortable on that Master Sword fight, like you were saying. But it's just like this is Mothula's tough, even for the best runners, and so every little advantage that you can bring into this fight helps.
So game number 3, once again, win. And they'll be in the Hyrule Finals next week, the League Finals, League Championship Series, whatever your agent wants to call it, next week. That'll be Team Awesome going up against the Light World Conference champions. As Ramond finishes off and gets his Castle Tower small key. Now, maybe, just maybe, that gets Ramond over into Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, one can only hope that it brings him over there. With that first Castle Tower key, that means that both chests in Castle Tower are available to check. Can't beat it without the second one. but you know, hopefully right there. And Drosy, right there. That's where the flips were.
So Ramond coming up with the 20 rupees. And now it is time for him to flute away. We don't have a book, so we can't get a ped check.
And
he's going to flute to
this
number
is a play
5.
to pod, yeah. So not taking the bait on that Hyrule Castle, but with, like I said, with 4 keys, doesn't have either bottle yet, of course, because those were locked behind the mitts over in Desert Palace, or the book, but we've seen the mitts.
More?
So will not be able to make his way over. Oh, interesting. Not going to pod here. What is this?
This might be a hobo check.
Hobo check. Yep. No, that's a good. I like this. I like this. I think I probably would have gone into pod first, but you know, whatever.
No.
Well, no, you don't. No, you don't go into pod first. No.
I think this is, you're going to be checking everything, and this is going to be the first of the everything checks. You're going to check to see what Hobo has. You're going to go back into the Dark World. You're going to head on over towards Sahasrahla, and you're going to check those 3 chests and also see which dungeon is our green pendant, and then we'll do pod and then Eastern.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like coming here to check the hobo in the Dark World with that mirror. And Ramond is gonna head up and check the pyramid first. Yeah.
So if you're hoping for Team Awesome to pull off the win here, you want him to mirror and go into Hyrule Castle. Because every second that Jet has the boots and Ramond doesn't, it is a big, big time difference between these two. But Ramond is mirroring. He is going to go into the castle.
Yeah, this is really good for Ramond. He's going to get those boots down there in the front of Escape. Jet is showing us at least part of the Smith chain. Taking down hammer pegs here. He's got the bullfrog behind it. The rarely seen in non-entrance randomizer east side of Castle Tower there, and there is our there's a bow. I don't know if it's our first bow. Technically, it might be the logical silvers because Jet's a lot of logic here, but that's a nice find.
Yeah, because that is Titan Minute blocked at this point. As Jet will go ahead and free the breadsmith. And what do we find from the breadsmith this time around? It is a small key to Turtle Rock. That is the first of the Turtle Rock smalls we've seen so far.
Yep, there. You need 3 of the 4 Turtle Rock smalls in order to complete the dungeon. As Raymond gets his boots there, you need 4 in order to check everything in Turtle Rock, but just 3 in order. Jet swinging down here to these South Dark World checks. Going to get Stumpy, K45, and the purple chest out of the way.
Yeah, the one that is newest to us is going to be the purple chest, as Ramond gets the big key from the ball and chain guard, gets his prize. And now it's time for him to do a sequence break and find out what is in Dark Cross, which we found out earlier was a map.
There's pod key number 3 for Jet on Stumpy. Now with that bow, that is a much more attractive play for Jet, so I wouldn't be surprised if he makes his way over here. Oh yeah, Dark Cross is in logic because we have the fire rod.
That is right. Yeah, good point here. Because of the fire rod, we're able to light the torches and get ourselves to where we need to go. Jet pulling off the trick here as we leave the purple chest behind, but we still get the prize that's inside, and it is Turtle Rock small key number 2.
Jet fluting to 4. He's going to go into the portal. Oh, faked me out. Jet wants nothing to do. Oh, Jet has already checked Type K. That's what it is. He's making his flipper checks at this point. So just a big 20 there on Lake Hylia Islands. And Jet is probably going to be headed here into the portal here. Oh, no. Faking me out again. This is an Ice Palace play by Jet. Very interesting.
Speaking of Ice Palace, we just saw a small keyed Ice Palace in the castle tower as Ramond is going to light up the torches. And at this point, we are still one key away from being able to finish off the castle tower. So Ramond has to mirror and leave.
Now, this is really interesting. Jet, without the hook shot, without the Cane of Samaria, and without any keys going into Ice Palace, there's only so much that he can check here. But, down 2 games to none, you're going to have to make some decisions here and play to win for sure. As we see, Ramond is now headed into his pod play.
Here's a big thing, though. You remember that key that Ramond left behind?
Yes, I do.
Into the seed.
Yes, I do.
We're gonna get the big answer to this real soon.
Yep. Get your feels bad mans ready in chat if this Ice Palace big chest has anything useful because Ramond orphaned it in the back of Blind's hut, and he is gonna last location that for sure.
Green pendant is going to be Swamp Palace. Interesting that we've given ourselves the tools that we need to get inside, at least a portion of it. And nothing in the back 3 of Sahasrah's closet.
Yeah, I've done that before where I have forgotten to check the back of Blind's hut and progression was in there, and it feels real bad. So hopefully, for Ramond's sake, he will figure that out and head in there. Trickier bomb jumps here in this hookshot room in Ice Palace. This one is very particular.
So particular that he falls off the first time, trying to line up his jump. It looks like he may have pulled it off that time around. Yes, he does.
Really, really well done there. That is not one that you see a ton anymore, but it is not fun to line up if you're not very comfortable with it.
And the thing is that technically Jet didn't need to pull that off because of where the Cane of Samaria is. I wouldn't be surprised if Jet does check the ice rod cave, after he is done with this dungeon, considering he's in the general area for it.
Yeah, he'll feel real bad about it though when he pulls out when he gets that out of there. As we find the magic powder there in Ice Palace, always nice to have.
There's the silver, so both bows are mitt blocked
and lamp locked at that point. Then,
which means that we are not seeing the lamp where Ramond is right now.
Ramond is going to do a mimic clip here.
Yeah, he's trying to buffer here, try to get the red mimic into the wall. Try to get him so he goes out of bounds. And now the most important check for Jet. It is a piece of heart.
That's a big break for Ramond there. I'm going to try to pronounce his name as many different ways as I can over the course of the next couple hours, chat. So, let's... But if anybody knows how it is actually pronounced, please do let us know. Ramond? That doesn't seem right. Ramond.
That's it. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. It's pronounced Bill. Dear God.
It's actually pronounced throat warbler mangrove.
And we got ourselves the blue curvy stick as Now we're downstairs. There's the lamp!
There's the lamp in
The
the
logical
dark
lamp.
basement of Pod.
Fire rod blocked. And the cape for good measure. But we know there's no bow to be found here in Pod.
And Ramond is going to need to make his way back up the mountain. Hopefully that lamp reminds him that he did not check the old man, because we are really going to need that other glove that was there. As Jet falls into the cold stare fight. Tempered sword, not too bad here. Really, really clean fight there by Jet. Nice job.
Jet pointing this out. This is a logical double dip of the Palace of Darkness. Because of where the bows were.
And it looks like Ramond got the blue mail in there as well.
Ramond now inside of Eastern Palace. Jet is going over here, and this is not a check to go and see what's at the Ice Rod Cave at this stage. It is a check of Hobo, so he will be getting his fireball shield real soon.
The red shield, the only good shield.
Jet fluting away. If he flutes to 8, he's going to be checking Ice Rock K, but he is not. He is taking his 2 bows to the Palace of Darkness.
Which Jet can full clear, unlike Ramond there. He's got that big key, he's got 4 small keys, and he has the bow. So he will be able to complete this dungeon in full, will not have to come back as the logic would have intended.
Jet's about to get the information that Swamp Palace is going to be our green pendant. We have the last check here for Ramond coming up in just a few moments, because we don't have the big key yet to Eastern Palace. "46 minutes into this race."
Yeah, obviously it's pretty early still in this all dungeons key sanity seed, but at this point you have to say that Jet has a pretty solid advantage. He's completed 3 dungeons, can knock off dungeons 4 and, dungeon 4 here, can't complete Eastern Palace without that big key. Yet we'll see if he goes in. But Jet does have those Titans mitts, and Ramond does not yet. And but he's about to get them. He's making that play up to the old man. This is good news for Ramond and Team Awesome.
This will allow him to get the bows at this stage. And the thing is with the green pendant, Jet did not check the Sahasrara. This is key. This is all dungeons. He probably figures I'm gonna have to go there at some point in time. The big thing about it is that, judging on how this seed is shaping up at this point, Hookshot could very well be in Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. Swamp Palace, the only dungeon that requires the hookshot logically, it's a pendant. It's the green pendant, as a matter of fact. So that hookshot could very well be in Ganon's Tower. So a good call.
Oh, by the way, that's the Hyrule Castle key right there. We had some people asking about that earlier in regards to the logic.
Logic now. Yeah. But like I said, Hyrule Castle key logic is so much of a suggestion that honestly I didn't even know about it until like 2 weeks ago. So it doesn't really matter.
Because of the ability to steal keys and whatnot.
Exactly. So yeah, so at this point, the Jet has a sizable lead here, owing to having had those the boots and the Titans mitts for a lot longer. However, Ramond has that Cane of Samaria. It's going to make his Ice Palace trip quite a bit more pleasant. It's going to make his eventual, it could make his eventual Swamp Palace play quite a bit more pleasant as well. When will Jet make his way over to Ice Rod Cave?
And that's the big advantage right now that Ramond has over Jet. If Jet orphans off that Ice Rod Cave and just doesn't go there for a while, that is a advantage that maybe could put Team Awesome back into this match.
It's entirely possible. Jet picks up his lamp, which interestingly does not turn on until you can go back upstairs. But Jet now, with that pod basement, has enough money for Zora. And so I've seen mentioned in chat, and I like this idea, that once Jet is done with this chain of checks, he can flute to 8, go up to the Ice Rod Cave, set up a water walk, and use that to go up and check Zora.
Yeah, that sounds like an idea.
Jet pulling off his hammer yump here.
Yep, because he right now wants to save a key. Now, did Ramond do the same?
He did.
So therefore, he still has a key in his arsenal. The more important thing here is that Jet's going to be heading right straight to Helmasaur after he's done checking this chest right here.
Yeah, Ramond is going to have to come back in here to beat Helmasaur King eventually, but Jet with the bow is going to make short work of Helma King here before too long.
Conference Finals, Dark World Conference. Fantrina Drifters versus Team Awesome for a berth in the championship, overall, the World Series, whatever you want to call it. Next week, face off against the Light World Conference champions. That's currently going on between Kinda Randall Retired and Team Kappa. They need a game number 4 to try to figure out who is going to be moving on.
Yeah,
Team Kappa with 2-1 series lead.
Team Kappa with the 2-1 series lead. Game 4 is scheduled for tomorrow night, 8:10 p.m. Eastern time. That is going to be Gamachu of Team Kappa versus Faraime of Kinda Rando Retired. So come on back and see that one tomorrow. I'm not sure what channel it's on yet, but you best be sure it's going to get streamed somewhere.
Yeah, I figure I could probably give it set up for a decent channel as while we are checking some of the same checks we've seen before and waiting for Jet to get on over to Helmasaur King. Let's go ahead and introduce both of these teams. Fantrina Drifters. This is the blue pendant matchup here, game number 3 with Jet representing the blue pendant members of the team. Also on the team is Megawatt, or at Megawatt if you want to believe the memes, and Frostbite 3030 for the Team Awesome out of the Skull Woods division. Yoshi, Hitsuen, and of course, as we have here, Ramond, 14-0 through the regular season.
That's remarkable, 14-0. That's like unbelievable that you can manage that. Like, there's a lot of, obviously there's a lot of randomness in this game. It's right there in the name, but to go 14-0 over the course of 7 weeks is really, it's a remarkable.
Well, with the amount of competition we had in here, as Jet finishes off Helmasaur King, we got ourselves a big key, Misery Mire. I was so expecting that to be the big key to Eastern.
Me too. That would have been extremely convenient for Jet and extremely unfortunate for Rod, but it is not. There's Helma gives us the pendant of power.
So another pendant into our arsenal. Now we know 2 of our 3 pendants. But obviously, Eastern is a dungeon that we cannot beat at this point. Ramond is about to get his sack of goodies, including the bow. Probably going to be feeling a little behind once he picks up this bow, however.
Yep, this is not going to feel good for Ramond, having already dipped into Pod and Eastern Palace. Picking up that bow, is pretty unfortunate. He's going to be like, oh man, I should have done this in a different order. Oh well.
Yeah, well, the big thing here for Ramond is that now he's going to put off going into the Palace of Darkness until he's able to do both Helmastar King as well as the Armos Knights.
And luckily for him, that's not really going to hurt him all that much, not being anything much useful there on Helmastor King. The big key to Meyer is obviously required, but it's not like it was the hook shot or something.
Right. Unless the big chest in Meyer or Vitreous or the Pyramid Fairy has the Eastern Palace big key.
It is entirely possible, yeah. If that Eastern Palace big key is behind that Meyer chest, or behind something in Meyer, you're gonna have a bad time there. The big key for Ice Palace was in the back of Blind's hut, which Ramond just forgot to check, and which is really unfortunate. As Ramond picks up some potions here, I imagine we might see an Ice Palace play from Ramond here. Yep, he forgot, and luckily for him, the Ice Palace big chest was nothing important.
Nothing.
So it's not really going to.
Yeah, nothing of significance, nothing of progression. Which you hate to see when you're in a race like this. Jeb mirroring out of Eastern Palace, his next move is back into the Dark World. And I have a feeling that he is going to be making a play towards the Zora area, but not the way that we would like him to be able to pick up that cane of Samaria. Instead, he's going to be checking a catfish.
Yep, he's going to be doing what Ramond did earlier and mirroring from catfish. Now, with that flute, that Ice Rod Cave check is not as inconvenient as it would be without it, right? A quick flute to 8, it's a very quick check there, but we do know that is where the cane of Samaria is, so he's going to have to make his way over there before too long. And but we're kind of running out of spots here for things that we can check. Maybe we see without this cane of Samaria, there are no checks to do in Turtle Rock. Without the Quake Medallion, there are no checks to do in Misery Mire. So Jet's probably going to make his way over there before too long. He is going to check these chests in Castle Tower first, though.
And for Jet, this is going to be useless stuff because one of them was the Ice Palace small key. As Ramond pulls off the Icebreaker to perfection, gets the silver arrows. Did we check Magic Bat?
We have not checked Magic Bat yet. With that Magic Powder that Ramond just picked up here in Ice Palace, that is in Logic. So we'll see if we get that a little bit.
Because I think that may be one of the few checks that Jet's going to have after he's done with the Zora area checks.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's down to Matt. He's done all the rest of... done the front of Thieves Town. He's done the other Village of Outcasts checks, done the Smith Chain. We'll knock off Catfish and the Mushroom and the Zora area up here. And so, really running out of checks. Maybe with a Spike Cave check might be coming up here before too long. But
right.
I can't imagine that Jet is going to want to go up to the mountain and make a trip up there just to check Spike Cave. I'm going to put that off maybe until he finds the Cane of Samaria so he can head into Turtle Rock.
Oh, right. Chat reminding us there is a very, very important check that we have yet to see. It is in Logic. Swamp Palace.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything in Swamp Palace yet. With that small key and the mirror and the flippers, there are a whole mess of items. I believe that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 checks that are in Logic in Swamp Palace that we can get to. Can't open the big chest, can't get anything in the back. But 5 of the 11, including the green pendant, that are available in Swamp Palace. So, will Jet go to Ice Rod Cave before doing that? I don't know. We'll see. But nobody likes Swamp Palace without the hook. Kane is over in Ice Rod Cave, and Jet's gonna have to make his way over there before too long. When will he do it? That is the question.
So we do have some possibilities. As Jet gets his Ganon's Tower big key. And Ramond now dealing with the Puffs, having a little bit of a harder time, but that's also because he's on Master Sword. That's another interesting aspect, is the fact that Jet has the Tempered Sword, and the big difference between the two was Pinball Room.
Yeah, that Tempered Sword was in Pinball Room in Skull Woods, which Ramond skipped. We think, who knows, but we think perhaps because he's an avid cross keys player, and cross keys, that's guaranteed to be a Skull Woods key there. So Jet pulls that big key to Skull Woods out of Zora as we approach the 1 hour mark here in the seed.
Yeah, at the 1 hour mark, you don't know how you're feeling at this point. You're starting to run out of checks. For Ramond, you have a lot more checks at this stage than Jet does. And Jet is going to be checking the one check that is available to him right now on this mountain. It is going to be Spike Cave. I believe Ramond is heading to the other side of the mountain. He may check Spike Cave, but I think for him, this is going to be an Eastside Death Mountain play.
Jet taking a second and poking his head into the Death Mountain Descent Cave for reasons passing understanding, but okay.
And there's the divergence between the two at this stage. So a pretty interesting series of checks coming up for both of these runners.
Ramond is going to be checking here Super Bunny in that first check in Hookshot Cave now. Not going to find anything much of useful there as Jet pulls another bottle with a free red potion out of Spike Cave.
And at this point, Jet has got to feel like the Ice Rod Cave is where he needs to go. So let's see if he flutes to 8. No, he doesn't. He's fluting to the village.
Yeah, this is the Skullwoods Big Chest, maybe? Or Magic Bat, both?
Maybe both at this point. That's a possibility. As Ramond now opening up the portal to Turtle Rock. You don't feel good about going in there with 2 keys at this point, but this could be the thing that Team Awesome needs to put themselves back into the match. Remember, Jet had the boots for a good, what was it, about a half of an hour over Ramond?
Yeah, it was a good 30 minutes. You're right. It's a small advantage. I think that people overrate the amount of time that you can make up with the boots, certainly, but it is not it's not insignificant, right? You are making up a time slowly over the course of the seed there. Jet was able to build up a bit of a cushion there over the first half hour or so of the seed.
And Ramond picking up the bombos, and he's probably muttering, I don't need that medallion. I would prefer the swirly coin at this point. As Jet makes his way over, and this is going to be a Magic Bat check.
Could this be our hook shot?
Anything could be our hook shot at this point.
Now, what would be a really nice thing for Ramond to find here in the front of Turtle Rock? is a Turtle Rock small key. Because with the Turtle Rock small key, he can full clear this dungeon as long as he skips the lava chest, the vanilla big key chest. 3 is enough if you do that. Jet just finding a piece of heart there on Magic Bat, so that is not our answer today. As Ramond makes his way around the dumb way, the intended way around that torch puzzle.
That doesn't feel right.
No, it's not fun. Small key
Skullwood small.
Woods.
Castle
And
Tower
the other
2.
Castle Tower key.
Which does nothing for us. We need that key, but it doesn't do anything as far as getting items. Jet, not checking Ice Rod Cave, is making his play into Swamp Palace.
Yep, 5 checks in here. Ramond, chat pointing out that Ramond, we haven't seen the Turtle Rock big key yet, so Ramond cannot complete the dungeon without that. Obviously, we're going to need that. So this is going to be another place where Ramond is going to be able to claw back a little bit of that time from Jet. Having that Cane of Samaria, his trip through Swamp Palace, like his trip through Ice Palace, is going to be a lot more pleasant with that Cane of Samaria. A lot more that you can do, or there's a lot of some time saves in here, quality of life stuff that you can get. There's our third Turtle Rock small key in the first chest in Swamp 2.
Interesting, which means Ramond is really hoping to find a vanilla key so he can get down to Laser Bridge.
Yeah, without that hook shot, of course, that left side diver down is not possible. So it won't be as big of a deal here. If the hook shot is vanilla or French vanilla here today, that could be interesting.
Well, true. Okay, so Ramond is able to get to Laser Bridge. Never mind. I keep forgetting about the stealing of the key that gives you 1 key in your arsenal. But he does need another key to be vanilla at somewhere in this journey so he can get to Trinex to finish this dungeon off.
You can do diver down with bombs, that's true, but you need to be able to get you need to use the hook shot here to get that key underneath that pot in order for it to work on the left.
Ramond now checking Mimic Cave. And Jet getting the shovel. Not something you really want to see.
No, certainly not at this point. After you've gone through that part of the world once or twice. And there's the Quake Medallion for Ramond in Mimic Cave. Gonna need that. So we're a hook shot away from go mode here. Items at least. We still need several keys. But the hook shot is the last item that we're looking for.
Ramond now fluting away. He does not have the Misery Mire big key. Probably figures he doesn't want to head on down to Laser Bridge at this stage. Oh, that's right. He doesn't have the big key, so there's nothing else he can do inside of Turtle Rock as it is.
That's right, yeah. So Ramond is going to be is going to show us Misery Mire for the first.
So here we go, with the Quake in hand, heading into Misery Mire.
8 checks in Misery Mire. Ramond can do all of them here with, doesn't have the big key. I keep forgetting about these big keys. What are we doing here? Can get 6 of those checks here in.
Ramond now heading about to go to the lobby. One of those execution heavy rooms where you want to have Beam Sword. Although he's doing a pretty good job without it. There he starts using some of the beams. There we go. And on the left-hand side, we get ourselves a Skullwood's Compass, I believe, was on the left side of these 2 checks. And the final check coming up here for Jet before he has to bail. There's a big key to Swamp Palace.
That's
Ooh.
nice for Ramond to have that before going into Swamp.
The rabbit hole gets deeper, my friends.
Jet going to take his mirror up and check that shovel that he found in Swamp Palace right away.
Yeah. We get ourselves the blue cane. And now the shovel for Jet. It is 20 rupees. He's got a flute to 8. And there's the flute to 8.
All right, this is big for Jet. He's about to get his cane of Samaria and go to town on some of these checks here.
But the big thing is how does Jet feel once he gets this cane of Samaria? Does he feel behind? Because you've got to feel behind after leaving behind a spear one like this.
Yeah, it doesn't feel great. Of course, we know that he's doing just fine here, but you're right that it might make him feel behind. You always have to assume that your opponent did those early checks if you're going to skip it. Jet taking that cane and his keys all the way up to Turtle Rock here, and that makes a lot of sense for him. Unfortunately, we know that is not going to get... Well, he will get the Quake Medallion in Mimic Cave if he makes it all the way there. And so he's going to be doing some checks that Ramond already did. But looks like nothing of consequence over in Meyer either. Ramond's also not headed into Desert Palace there. Nothing left to do in Desert Palace. He already checked that, excuse me. Yeah, so only that Swamp Big Key from Meyer and the Cane of Berna, but, whatever.
Now the big question is what is in the Meyer Big? What is that vitreous?
What's in that Swamp Big Chest? Oh, and looks like Ramond skipped Cutscene Chest. That's interesting as well.
What is that Pyramid Fairy?
What's in the Hera basement?
These fun questions and more will be solved, maybe, hopefully, in the next 50 minutes of this great game number 3 between Phendrana Drifters and Team Awesome in the League Dark World Conference Finals.
Ramond making his way into Swamp Palace, Jet making his way into Turtle Rock. Now we know they're not going to come up with too much here. Jet will get that, like I said, Jet will get that that Quake Medallion from Mimic Cave, but without the Turtle Big Key, isn't going to make it too much farther.
By the way, just as a note for our tracker, Jet seems to have 3 keys for Turtle Rock as opposed to the 2.
I believe that third one was in Swamp.
Yeah, the third one was in the first chest of Swamp, which Ramond is about to pick up.
Now we'll see with 3 keys. So with 3 keys without the big key.
Yeah, without the big key, there's nothing much. Maybe Jet might check the lava chest.
The lava chest, right? Yeah, so that that'll be interesting. My guess is no. My guess is that he's going to skip it because you want to be able to beat this dungeon with 3 keys and not 4 if you can avoid it, especially if he's considering without the big key, at that point, he's going to have to come back in here anyway.
So as some of our chat is questioning what's going to be happening, what the procedure here in the league is, this is game number 3. If Jet is to win this and force a game 4 will be played with the lower seed having the choice. That in game 4 will belong to Phendrana Drifters. So whoever that team sends up for game number 4, and it can be any of the 3 players with the provision that whoever they send in game 4 isn't eligible to play in game number 5 because you can't play more than 2 times in the course of a series. So the Team Awesome will have a chance to veto. they'll send one of their 3 players up. Fandrander Drifters will send one of their 3 players, and the Fandrander Drifters, with the veto in mind, will choose what mode is being played for game number 4 to be played sometime in the next 3 days after today.
Chat bringing up 2 things that I want to call out here, that Jet could save scum that lava chest key here. So we might see that. The other thing is that Ramond is about to be able to check the swamp big chest, which is
a big key to Turtle Rock.
Oh boy, that's a nice find for Ramond there. Wasn't hook shot like chat was hoping for, but that is a big development for Ramond. It's a forced double dick of Turtle Rock. You know, potentially is going to be a forced double dip, probably of Swamp Palace. We're not sure where that hook shot is quite yet. Jet is not going to save scum that key. Is just going to flute away and come down here, and with that Mire big key, is going to be able to full clear Misery Mire here.
That Turtle Rock big key could be huge, but that depends on what Jet finds, because remember, Jet has access to 4 items that Ramond doesn't have access to with this Misery Mire play. The 2 being the 2 big key locked items, the big chest as well as Vitreous, but also, as we pointed out before, the 5-6.
Yeah, this is our other Pyramid Fairy Crystal, along with the other one in Skull Woods. So, and Ramond didn't do cutscene chest either. So it's actually 5 items in Misery Mire that Jet will be able to get either here in the dungeon or shortly thereafter. But that Firelock chest is not in logic because of Misery Mire key logic. Both of those Firelock chests are actually locked behind, logically, all 3 Mire small keys. They have 0. Now, you don't need those Mire small keys in order to beat the dungeon, because this game was extremely well designed. But you cannot get to those Firelock chests logically without some Mire small keys.
As Jet pulls up the Swamp's big key at this point, a hookshot would send Jet in immediately. Both runners are going to be getting really nervous about where they stand in this race, because of all the double dips that this seed seems to be setting him up for. Ramond now heading with the Turtle Rock big key in hand. Now, Ramond is now going to be able to get to where he needs to in order to beat this dungeon.
If that hook shot is in the back of Turtle Rock, that is a big development for Ramond here.
Small key to Ice Palace for a dungeon that we have already beat. It looks like Jet is setting himself up to go upstairs to check and see what we have at the cutscene chest. People in chat calling out the Hera basement. We don't have access to the Hera basement at this point.
This is Ramond's, like, 4th trip up Death Mountain.
Jet finds a piece of heart, and he would have loved to have had completed a heart container with that, but he does have magic powder, and he pulls out that magic powder right now.
For this guy right here.
He's going to probably powder another anti-fairy on his way to one of the checks that Ramond was unable to check. Neither runner... I mean, this is a race where either runner could be in the lead. We don't know who it is because of where the developments in this seed. However, if Jet is able to pull out the hook shot in this next check here, or a little bit later on with Vitreous, then that is a big advantage for him. We get a compass to Eastern Palace.
Yeah, this is turning out like whichever one of our runners finds the hook shot first is going to have the advantage here. So that's what this is coming down to. And of course, that hook shot could be in Ganon's Tower somewhere. It could be in the back of Pendant Thieves Town, for instance.
Here's the problem. 300 rupees in the big chest of Turtle Rock. Here's the problem, though. We still don't have all that we need to get into Ganon's Tower at this point.
No, we're gonna need an Eastern Palace big key. We're gonna need a Desert Palace big key. We're gonna need a Thieves Town big key.
Dark Palace, small key right there for Ramond, and he's still got to get over there and finish that dungeon off.
Waiting until he finds that Eastern Palace big key. As Ramond is going to show us Laser Bridge here in just a minute, and Trinex.
Yeah,
and
we'll
Jet
keep an
making
eye.
his way into that area. The Meyer.
We'll keep an eye on Ramond since he'll be getting the checks done first, as opposed to Jet. Oh boy, there could be a big moment in the next checks coming up for both of these runners.
There is the shot on Laser Bridge. That is a big find for Ramond.
And then a bottle. And in the final chest here inside of Turtle Rock is a small key to Skull Woods. Turtle Rock big key was in the Swamp big chest.
The Swamp big key was here in Misery Minor. So Jet has that. Oh man, it's when is Jet gonna go back into Swamp Palace to check just that big chest? That's gonna be really, really tough there as he pulls the Thieves Town Small off of Vitreous.
This race is now completely going topsy-turvy at this point, and we don't even know what the runners are thinking at this hour and 20 mark of this game 3, an elimination match. If Andrana Drifters are unable to secure the victory over Team Awesome.
So Jet is going to come down here and do the Pyramid Fairy at least.
Yep.
You know, it's possible. You're right here. Like, this is the opportunity to check that that Swamp Big Chest. Now, it feels real bad to go back in there again without the hook shot, for one item check. But it's not going to get any better. But unfortunately, for Jet, he is going to do the Pyramid Fairy instead.
And Ramond finishing off with the Trinex gets the map to Desert Palace. So we are still seeking out the big keys to be able to beat this game.
Yep, Eastern Palace, Desert Palace, Thieves Town, those big keys that are still outstanding.
Now, I would not be surprised if after Jet is done doing this, he goes up the castle. You're in the area, you might as well at this point. I know you'd like to do it after you're done with
he only has,
GT.
He doesn't have that. He doesn't have the second key yet. At least according to the trackers. Ramond picks out the mirror shields, and
there's the big key there
from Hookshot Cave and the Uncle Bomb.
And inside of the Pyramid Fairy, we get ourselves another big key. This one to Eastern Palace. We are now just a Desert Palace big away from no mode.
Okay, so Jet does have that other Castle Tower small key. That was in the front of Thieves Town. So he could do that, but he is going to put it off, take that Eastern big key, and go knock that off the list. Now at this point, in order for us to be in no mode, all we need is the Desert Big at this point.
Yeah, that's right. Desert Big is what we need for the complete no mode. But getting both of our runners to get the information, that's going to be very, very interesting at this point. Dear God.
It's funny, they've both done some really interesting and like long and frustrating logic checks or logic chains that the other runner hasn't done. So Ramond, without the bow at first, couldn't go down and beat Helmasaur on his first trip into pod. That's where the Meyer big key was. And now Jet is orphaning off that Swamp Big Chest. We'll see what is in the back of Swamp. Ramond is headed in there to finish off Swamp Palace with his hook shot here.
This actually makes a lot of sense for Ramond.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You want to know why?
Why?
What color is this dungeon?
Oh, it's the green pendant.
And so you know what he's going to check after he's done with this?
He can take that green pendant over to Sahasrara and knock off the Helma Kit, which put him back on the trajectory that he needs to be.
Can I have you a plot twist?
Yes.
We just found the fourth Turtle Rock Small.
What's in that lava chest?
Yeah.
So that lava chest have not the vanilla Turtle Rock big key, but the desert big key. Interesting.
We've already seen the Thieves' Town big key. It is in Ramond's inventory, found in Hookshot Cave. This race is definitely complex.
Jet has that Thieves' Town small key, however, which Ramond has not seen yet.
There's 20 rupees, and Ramond is about to go down the right-hand side without putting the statue over the switch, and here's called Diver Down. Tyler Salt, go ahead and explain this.
That was super easy. He's using that Cane of Samaria block. Yeah, it's already done. It's already done. You can clip through that rail and convince the game that you're not in the water because you didn't splash into it, and so you can just check those chests on your way down. It's good. It's pretty straightforward. Real easy to pull off with the cane.
Yay, Compass to Swamp Palace. Jet's heading over here.
This very well might be that Swamp Big Chest. There isn't very much else that he can check at this point.
Yeah, this is last location city here for Jet. I have to assume this is last location city now.
Yeah. So this is going to be a little bit of a race here. We're going to see it's hard to tell who is ahead at this point. This is big for Jet. He's going to get that Turtle Rock big key from the Swamp Big Chest. He'll be able to go back up to Turtle Rock, pull his hook shot from Laser Bridge, and then we'll see if he might be able to put off Swamp until quite a bit later. The back of Swamp, at least. There hasn't been anything else in here that was helpful. We'll see if Ramond gets something off of Argus.
By the way, Eastern was a crystal. And there's our big key to desert. We are in no mode.
Yep, we are in no mode. Ramond still needs that Eastern big key in order to be in go.
He also needs the Meyer big.
And the Meyer big. Yep, he'll get those in pretty quick fashion. Ramond is gonna check the shovel spot here. I imagine he'll get that Meyer big key before too long. He'll go over and turn in the green pendant and take down Helmasaur Kings, which is where that Meyer big key is.
Right. He just still got to get to that point at this stage. So when we get to Ganon's Tower, we're just going to be going straight up. There's nothing else for us to take a look at. As Jet now is about to go play, why are you bringing me up the mountain again? After finding that Turtle Rock big, but now he'll be able to finish this dungeon off.
Not only all of these mountain climbs, but all of these mountain climbs the slow way without the hook shot. That can't feel fun.
So Ramond now heading into the Desert Palace, going to be checking the big chest first. And then Ramond missing an opportunity to do Desert as well as Misery Mire back-to-back. But we'll head on over towards the Eastern and the Palace of Darkness area, although his reluctancy to head over to the Eastern Palace is based on, or the reluctancy to go to the Palace of Darkness, because he wants to do it together with the Palace of Darkness, but he can't.
Yeah, he can't, and it's not going to work out for him. Those keys, man.
So both runners are going to be checking stuff that unnecessarily, but it's just out of the nature of how this seed is setting up. Looks like Jet's going to be the first of these two to get into no mode, or rather go mode. But it all depends on when he goes to Argus.
Yeah, once he completes Turtle Rock, he'll head over towards Hookshot Cave. He'll get his Thieves Town big key, and I guess the question is there, what do you do first? Since he'll have the Thieves Town big key from there, he's already got the small key. Do you go to Thieves Town first, or you go clear Swamp first?
Ramond facing off against the Lamolas. Finishes them off 1, 2, and 3, and gets the red mail as a reward. And that is our third pendant. Wait, is that our second pendant?
That is our third pendant, along with Swamp Palace.
What was the other pendant then?
Pod.
Oh, okay, I see it. That's right. There are little icons on the bottom of the tracker. Rick, take a look at those. And now Ramond's going to be heading into Palace of Darkness. Wanted to delay this as long as he possibly could. Sounded like there was just rupees inside of the big chest. Or rather, the big key chest, the lava chest inside of Turtle Rock.
That is good for Ramond. He will not be back in there.
Yeah, there's nothing. We know at this point that there is going to be nothing that will cause Ramond to have to go back into Turtle Rock. He will be able to get into go mode. We'll find out what the green pendant is in just a second, but again, it's not going to be anything of major consequence. It is a small key to Misery Mire that will help out with the routing just a little bit when Ramond gets back in there.
So all Jet has left to do here, after he defeats Trinax, is hop over to Hookshot Cave, get that Thieves Town big key, and then he's got Thieves Town and Swamp Palace, and that's all he needs to finish there. So the question is, what order does he do it in? He'll need to finish Desert Palace once he gets through Swamp, but we'll see in what order he does that. I don't know that it matters a ton. For his piece, well, I guess if he goes to Swamp Palace first, that would be big, because it means that he can just go mode the back of Thieves Town, which doesn't save you a ton of time, but every second helps here in the conference semifinals as Jet gets his hook shot here off of Laser Bridge.
Yeah, but of course he's not in go mode just yet. He needs to get the Thieves Town big key out of the Laser Bridge, and then head into Swamp Palace, face off against Argus to get the Desert Palace big key. That would put him into go mode. 90 minutes in, what's your thoughts as you're going through this race?
Man, both of them must feel behind, right? Like, both of them left some pretty critical things off until really late. Ramond with the mitts really early on, Jet with the Cane of Samaria. It's been back and forth. Those nerves, obviously these two runners have been in this situation before. Jet is the reigning tournament champion. Ramond's Team Awesome went undefeated in the regular season and has been very, very strong as they're the defending champions here of the league. But
Here's the thing with Team Awesome. Their current record here in the league, both the regular season as well as postseason, they're 22-1.
Astonishing.
22-1, 14-0 in the regular season, 3-0 against Team Hime in the first round that they ended up having to face the divisional championship. 3-1 against the last locationers in the conference semifinals, and now 2-0 against the Fandrana Drifters. Here's something that we haven't talked about in a while, and that is that sword that Ramond does not have that Jet does.
Yeah, that's a good catch. That was in the pinball room of Swamp Palace, which Ramond skipped. So
you mean Skullwoods?
Skullwoods, excuse me. Yeah, I always screw those two up. S's, you know. So Jet gets his Thieves Town big key here out of Hookshot Cave. What I was gonna say is the swords, the biggest sword difference there is from Master. What's that? The last pod key in there in the vanilla big key.
Yeah.
Right? The biggest upgrade in swords is from Master Sword to Tempered Sword, and so that's been a nice advantage for Jet here. If this is close and Ramond doesn't find that last sword that's out there, that could make a difference going up Ganon's Tower. Here, Jet is making the play to go into Thieves Town before Swamp Palace.
Yeah, this is where this could just really change hands, is the fact that Jet, after he's done with this dungeon, will have access to Ganon's Tower. So the critical moment here for Jet is, what does he do after he is done with Thieves Town?
Yeah, if he goes into Ganon's Tower and starts clearing the basement, that's real bad for him, because Ramond, when he makes his way up there, knows that there's nothing in the basement short of another sword, which he will not look for, that will help him. If Jet goes up there, goes into Ganon's Tower, and starts making checks in the basement looking for that Desert Palace big key, that is going to be a huge time waste for him.
Ramond now here inside of Misery Mode, not yet into go mode. And remember, Ramond did not do the cutscene chest. So does he do that right now, or does he head straight to Vitreous? And based on how he is routing this, it looks like this is a straight to Vitreous.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense, frankly.
This is crazy in the fact that here at 95 minutes in, this race is at a point that we cannot call who is in the lead at all.
It's fantastic. This is exactly what you want to see as a fan, as a watcher, as a commentator. Like, it would have been very disappointing if one of these runners had gotten off to a huge lead and it was just never really in doubt. This is going to be a close race down to the wire, and really, really exciting, as any elimination game in the playoffs is going to be here. Jet needing to pull out that win to keep the Fandrana Drifters season alive.
An amazing game here in the conference finals, the Dark World Conference. And don't forget, we still have a game 4 to come in the Light World Conference finals between Team Kappa and Kinda Randall Retired. You said that's tomorrow night, right?
Tomorrow night, 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time.
Ramond now pulling out the silver arrows. Finishing off the first stage of the Vitreous fight. There's the 2 silver arrows to finish off the giant eyeball, as he gets the small key to Thieves Town. Now, we're at a crossroads here. Does Ramond check the Pyramid Ferry, or does he go into Thieves Town? Now, there's not much of a difference for going into Thieves Town, not in go mode.
I think if you're Ramond, I think you go into Thieves Town. That's what you got 4 checks in there that as opposed to just 2 that are kind of time-consuming with Pyramid Fairy. So I think you go to Thieves Town, and he is going to Thieves Town. That's the right choice.
As we get ourselves another Ganon's Tower small key, where it gets interesting.
Jet needs to go to Swamp Palace here.
Flute to 1, this could be a different race. Flute to 4, Jet might have a lead. Where are we going, Jet? We are fluting to 4.
This is the right choice for Jet, right choice for the Phendrana Drifters. This is still very much a race here. Jet is going to get that Desert Big Key off of Argus and will not have to make any checks in Ganon's Tower, in the Ganon's Tower basement. This is going to come right down to the wire, everybody. Strap it.
Fine, let me go find something to strap in into. I'm glad to be able to present this one with you, Tyler Salt. Let's have some fun as we go through the final portion of this race between Jet and Ramond.
Nice little mini hellway there by Ramond getting that God pixel. Love being able to dash all the way through there.
Oh, absolutely. Be sure to follow both of these runners. A fantastic race. Shoutouts to our tracker, So-Called 2044, behind the scenes, clicking the buttons, making sure that the things appear as these runners pick them up.
Yeah, the unsung heroes of these broadcasts, absolutely the trackers, especially for All Dungeons Key Sanity. There's a lot to keep track of back there, and So-Called and the rest of our tracker crew does a fantastic.
Yeah, shoutouts to everyone who works behind the scenes to make sure that we have ourselves a great presentation both on and off the screen here in the Link to the Past Randomizer League, Season number 2. For those of you, and yes, that you do need to remember that key. For those of you who are just tuning in here at the 100-minute mark of this seed, Jet, as the lower seed, chose to to veto the inverted mode. Ramond answered back, "We're doing an all Dungeons Key Sanity." Diver down for Jet, pulls it off. Very little issue whatsoever.
Nice sank heart there in the flooded chest.
16 hearts is just a volume to the amount of checks both of these runners have made so far. The 9th check of Swamp Palace being the compass, the 10th will put Jet into go mode.
Ramond, after this, will be headed into Pyramid Fairy. I would have to assume he's going to need to get his Eastern Palace big key in there. That will be Ramond's go mode item. This is going to come down to Gauntlet Execution and a Ganon fight at this rate.
That could come down to the whole sword issue here.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, that Master to Tempered is a big step up. So at least if you're on Ramond's side, at least having the silvers is nice. That the reason that there is that sword difference is that the tempered sword was in the pinball room of Skull Woods. We don't know why Ramond didn't go in there. The thought is that he is an avid cross keys player. That is always a key in cross keys. As Jet gets his Desert Palace big key at 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 25 seconds or so. Jet082 is in go mode.
Claims the green pennant doesn't need to turn that in. He's just going to head on over to Desert Palace, and now he's breathing a sigh of relief that he doesn't have to check the 27 chest of Ganon's Tower. Ramond going to the Pyramid Fairy to get his big key to Eastern. So Jet alone here is going to have a little bit of an advantage here in the final stage of this match. It's quicker to get to the Lambolas than it is to get to the Armos Knight, so we're going to be figuring...
Especially when you're doing Pyramid Fairy first.
Especially considering the fact that we're probably going to be estimating a I'd have to say maybe about a 2-minute advantage here for Jet at this point.
Yeah, I'd say that sounds about right. Ramond having a little bit of trouble setting up these dashes there. Those I don't know what those things are called. Who knows what things are called in this game? But those bad guys getting in his little way here. Jet is going to be almost done with Desert Palace by the time Ramond even makes it over to Eastern. So.
Yeah, he'll be at the Lamos before Ramond steps into the dungeon at this point.
Ramond is in go mode now at 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 58 seconds with that Eastern big key. This is coming down to Ganon's Tower.
It is a 95-second advantage at go mode here for Jet. Ramond is going to flute to 5, go through Eastern Palace. He just has to get to the Armos Knights.
Very clean Landmo fight there by Jet. The one cycle. Picks up his red mail, and Jet's headed up the mountain.
So, as we head to Ganon's Tower, it is straight up to the top of the tower. There is no need to play a big key guessing game because we already have that in hand.
Yep, Jet's not going to be checking any of those chests going up the gauntlet. We might see Ramond check some of them on the way up, looking for a tempered sword. But Jet with the tempered sword, red mail, silver arrows, he is headed straight up to fight Aga 2. Will get teleported down to the pyramid, mirror over, take care of Aga 1, and then take down Ganon. Ron had a little bit of trouble there in the Stalfos room in Eastern.
Ouch.
Accidentally triggering those Stalfos spawning. That's unfortunate.
All 4 of them, which is something that you don't normally see in one of these races.
No, certainly not.
So we'll see what we get on our way up to the tower. Ramond is going to be checking this chest to get the small key to Turtle Rock. He's got absolutely no use for that at this stage. And it's a game of pinball. Is the difference between these two runners equipment-wise. As Jet will get on over towards Ganon's Tower. Yeah, 1 hour, 45 minutes, and 10 seconds will activate the cutscene. Ramond now firing 6 silver arrows into the Armoses. He is done with his 7th and final crystal. Time for him to head up to the tower as well.
So Ramond is a crystal cutscene and a Death Mountain climb behind here. And a tempered sword, unfortunately for him.
Jet here in the first room with the mimics has finished that off. And I'm going to guess that by the time Ramond gets up to Ganon's Tower, Jet will be on the 6th floor. Maybe even the 7th floor.
That sounds about right. This was very much a back and forth kind of race. There's a bit of a recap here as we see Jet headed into the gauntlet. Jet found Sequence broke the second glove very early on, and that led to and also had the boots really early, but left the Canis Maria and Ice Rod Cave for a long time. And then we had some keys, lots of required double dips in this All Dungeons Key Sanity Seed. And so, it wasn't really until just a couple minutes ago that we had a good sense of exactly who was in the lead and by how much.
And I was a little off in my prediction. It will be the 5th floor for Jet when he gets when Ramond steps into Ganon's Tower. It is a 2-minute and 2-second lead here for Jet going up to the tower. as Ramond starts his activation of the cutscene at 1:47:12. Once again, Jet was 1:45:10, so a 2-minute and 2-second lead going into Ganon's tower. Finishing off with the Wiz Robes on the 5th floor.
Chat pointing out that about 15 minutes ago, Shireen was in chat saying, all right, I'm out. Jet's going to win by 2.5 minutes.
Very well, it's possible. The end times will let us know how this finish will go. Is there going to be a better sword in one of those two chests there? We don't know.
Of course, this is all dungeons, and so once Jet beats Aga 2, we'll have to mirror over and climb up Castle Tower before going down and fighting Ganon and taking down Aga 1 here.
Jet finishing off with the Moldorm 2 fight.
Leaves behind the final chest and is going into his geometry test for today.
Yeah. He has absolutely no reason to check this at this point. Jet now up against the Aga 2 fight as Ramond faces off against the Lamo 2 fight. 1, 2, and I don't think that's going to be a 3. I think those both at the same time.
3, but it was pretty close.
1 and 2, I think we're at 4. That is a single there. I think we're at 5. And there's the 6.
Not bad there by Jet. If those energy balls hit Aghanim at the exact same time there, or within a certain time frame, I'm not sure of exactly how many frames we're talking, then they do not register as separate hits. They register as the same hit.
So as a result, it's a 2-2-1-1 fight. The 150.04 for the crash into the pyramid as Jet will flute over to the light world to face off against Aga 1. So let's play a little bit of a game. We didn't get to do a Ganon's Tower big key guessing game.
Well, I don't know. What do you have in mind, Rick?
Well, you see, this Aga 1 likes to throw those blue balls around every now and then. How many blue balls do you think we're going to see?
What's the average again? 3? Let's go 3.
Yeah, 3 is about right. We get some numbers in the chat. I'm seeing some 3s, some 4s.
Put trust in math.
Jet already on the 4th floor. Gets poked in by an arrow. That's some marksmanship right there.
Ramond having a bit of a tougher time here with Moldorm. Maybe not tougher, but longer, certainly without that tempered sword. Has to use Master Sword Spin.
And we get ourselves a piece of heart, so therefore Ramond is going to have to be doing a silvered Master Sword Ganon fight coming up. And upstairs for the Aga 2 fight for Ramond as Jet gets his way up to the 6th floor.
Chat asking what all the numbers in chat are. Somebody they're going to guess how many blue balls Aga 1 will throw at Jet here in just a minute. And thanks for the bits there, Crispy Tooth. We appreciate it.
So there's a 2 here for Ramond as he gets ready for this next stage.
Looked like a single there.
Yeah, he's going to have the same 4 cycle at Aga 2.
Ooh.
Yes, no,
This is
5 cycle.
Unfortunate.
Jet going into the Aga 1 fight. At this stage, it is a 2-minute and 33-second lead for Jet at the crash into the pyramid. 2:33 advantage. This Aga is not being nice.
There we go. Aga spins around in a circle a couple times, and Jet is headed into the fight with the big pig. Gets that convenient health refill. And here we go.
Convenient health and magic refill for Jet, and here we go.
Ooh, misses the trident spin right there. Should be fine.
Yeah, he got one, but he couldn't clink off there, which is what you hope to do. But gets Ganon into a very good position here in the top right position, so he's going to be doing a single cycle in the phase 2.
Yeah, really nice. In the upper right, you can just kind of hang out in the corner. You can get double spins there, totally safe from the fire bats, and does manage that one cycle of phase 2 into phase 3 already.
And I have to say it's good that Ramond remembers that there was a 5-arrow pickup there, which is normally what the No Major Glitches speedrun picks up, because otherwise he would not have had a single silver arrow for the fight against Ganon. Jet going, why don't you stop warping on me, please? There's the fourth and final stage of the bridge, or the floor collapsing. And now, misses the torch glitch, but not a major issue here with the silvers in hand. Jares gets a double right here. That's going to do it. And we will have a Game 4 in the conference finals. Jet continues the Phandrena Drifter season with the win over Ramond and Team Awesome. Get your GGs in the chat as Jet crosses the finish line with an official SRL time of 1:55:07.
So GG's to Jet. Jet will be joining us here for an interview in just a moment, but we're going to hold off on that until Ramond is done with the Ganon fight.
So we say hi to Jet here as he joined us real briefly, but we'll focus on you in just a few moments. As Ramond now up against the Aga 2 fight. Trying to be patient here. And gets Aga 2 down. The big difference here for Ramond is that he's going to have to do this with the Master Sword, which means you have to do spins on him.
Only spins will damage Ganon with the Master Sword. Now, doing Master Sword Silver's fight is not nearly as bad as the Master Sword Silverless fight. Master Sword Silver's is 4 spins in the last phase, whereas as opposed to 24 of them if you are not. If you don't have the silver arrow. So that is at least nice consolation here. Gonna pull out the cape. I love cape strats on Ganon.
Yeah, at this point he knows where he is in the count. Just switch on over this and go to town with a few hits on him. Get him over the to the top corner where you get the final of the spins that you need to do against Ganon. Has potion in hand, so if he has any sort of issue, he can go ahead and resort to that. Bonks into the wall here on purpose. Has to do a spin. He misses the stage 1 of the third, or rather the first hit on the stage 3.
Yeah, that can be a really tough one if you're in if the warps aren't cooperate to get that first spin in time for in order to prevent those fire bats from coming out.
Two portions of the floor complete here. Ramond with 5 arrows. So just has to be a little careful with his arrows. He can do what he needs to. He's got the 4 he needs to finish off the fight. Just can't go super spammy with the arrows, gets the torch glitch. And again, that doesn't really matter with the silver fight, but is able to get 2 hits on him and down to the bottom left corner. And that will do it for Ramond's Ganon fight. A very, very great Ganon fight. As he lifts up the sword, get your GGs into chat, as Ramond will finish about 3 minutes behind Jet as he crosses the finish line, and will have an official SRL time of 1:58.06, so a 2:59 difference between these two runners.
So GG to Ramond. We're now joined in the booth here by today's winner, Jet082. GG's.
Hi, GG's for the race, but I do not give the seed a GG. It's just rude.
You were saying in the SRL chat, or in the SRL chat, that you had words about this seed. So I'm looking forward to your words.
What the heck was that? It was a required double dip of Turtle Rock and a required double dip of Swamp, pretty much back to back.
Yeah, fantastic. Love it.
Like, what the heck? I left. I mean, I skipped Lava Chest. Well, okay, so I went in the Swamp. I was feeling bad. I was actually feeling bad. I wasn't expecting to win that at all, of course.
Bug catching that on the pedestal. What the heck's this?
After wasting a bunch of time in front of Swamp, not getting anything, last locationing the king, going up the Turtle Rock, and of course I skipped Lava Chest because just in case I need the key. And it's like, here you go right back to Swamp. It's like, what the heck?
Lots of crisscrossing. I think that was, you guys ended up having to do 5 climbs up Death Mountain, I think. Only one of which with the hook shot. That can't.
I was missing it so bad the time right before hook shot. Like on my way, my last time to Turtle Rock, I'm like, I just want my hook shot. I just want to go to the right. I don't want to go this long mirror path.
I do want to ask this question for you, Jet. At about an hour 8, you finally made it over to a Spear 1 location, and it had a progression for you. It was Ice Rod Cave, which had the Cane of Samaria. You picked that up. What are your thoughts when you picked that up?
I lost. Like, I'm losing. I'm just going to go fast. And at that point, everything was linear, so there was nothing else I could do to try to recover any time. I'm like, I pretty much just lost. I'm just going to keep playing it out, do dungeons, do it as best I can, hopefully not have to check GT for any items. But yeah, I was not feeling good at all.
Yeah, you got bailed out a little bit by that because Ramond essentially I don't know if it was quite a last location, but left the mitts until real late on his first trip up Death Mountain. Didn't do the old man, and so didn't have that. You were able to get those mitts and get into the dark world quite a bit faster than not into the dark world, but you were able to build up a nice solid lead because of those early mitts and because of those early boots there. So
the seat started out pretty nice. I mean, we got mirror early, which is really nice. The seat actually didn't hold out on hammer. So I guess, I sort of lucked out. I got really lucky with the old man giving glove, but I didn't expect my opponent to skip that because we had a sword, so it's sort of easy to check. So I'm just like, I'm just going to go get it done. And getting the mitts and just being able to combo, I was able to clear everything out in one go, so I didn't have to double back later on to do it. Maybe I should have done Swamp that first time too. I wouldn't have found anything, but at least I would have been a check mark off the list, and maybe I would have went to Ice Rock Cave sooner. I was ready to go in the beginning of the game. I wanted to go to Ice Rock Cave, do some water walking. I was weighing if I should Houlihan or not, because I was just on the threshold of having enough rupees for Zora. But then we got Flute, and I'm like, I got better things to do with my time. So Flute just led me right up to Death Mountain, and it's just like...
And of course, with the Flute, Ice Rod Cave is never really all that isolated because you get there pretty quickly. We definitely thought that you would be lumping that in with a water walk to go up and do the Zora checks instead. You decided to mirror over from Catfish, which was the same thing that Ramond did in the mix. That made a lot of sense.
I had to make sure. Honestly, the seed didn't really give us rupees until after that point. So I was thinking about right after doing Iced Palace to go do like Zora, maybe Catfish. I don't know. I was sort of weighing what to do, but then I realized I only had like 400 rupees at the time, and I didn't open Pod yet. So that's why I decided to do Pod Eastern first and do the Catfish into Waterfall Fairy and Zora, because I wanted to make sure I had enough rupees. By the way, shout out to that Fire Rod location. That is the first I've actually seen it in the dark like that. So that was actually, or not Fire Rod, Lantern.
You mean
sorry.
the lamp?
Lantern.
Yeah.
Need behind Fire Rod. Like, that was pretty cool.
Love that.
I've had a seed before where it turned out to be in Dark Cross. It's always like when you find the lamp in a dark room like that. But
And particularly Dark Cross, just because those torches are there's the one torch that's really easy to find in the room with it. But in that first room, it's just like, yeah, what are you doing? Like, this is unnecessary.
yeah, there was a lot of major differences in this race here, and you mentioned the double dips of Turtle Rock and Swamp Palace. Ramond ended up going into Palace of Darkness without the bow at about around the same time that you found both of the bows. So he unfortunately ended up doing a double dip of the Palace of Darkness in Eastern.
It sounds like we diverged quite a bit. I actually really need to rewatch this race. There's a lot of divergence. You guys did a bunch of things in different order, and it just worked out like the tiniest little bit better for you. But it wasn't until you guys hit go mode within like 2 minutes of each other. And it wasn't really until that point that we had a good feeling of who was ahead and who was behind. It was you guys. There was a lot of divergence. You guys did like 4 or 5 dungeons in completely different order, and so it's definitely one that you should rewatch. It's just a fascinating race, start to finish.
And yeah, I think we were sent about maybe 15 minutes of being in no mode after we found out where the Desert Big was.
Well, hopefully we gave you guys a good race to commentate and for the viewers to watch.
I
Absolutely did.
I do have another question. Now, of course, you guys are going through as the lower seed into this game number 3, and you ended up vetoing Inverted. How happy were you to find out that you were doing a key sanity here against Ramond?
I will not say. I have to keep that.
Yeah, we got
for
plenty.
game 5.
Plenty of rando left to play. So I appreciate the gamesmanship, the caginess there. Now tell us about this game 4 matchup coming up. Who's going to be running in that one?
I think we're gonna put forward Megawatt. He's thirsty for blood, so we're gonna send him out there. He's gonna kick butt. I don't know what he's picking or anything. They have to figure out the veto, but
even if you wouldn't necessarily want to talk about it on stream. I understand.
Yeah, you got to keep a few things a secret, obviously, which is understandable why you didn't want to talk about the Game 3 decision here, because it could come back in Game number 5 coming up if we do come to that. So one other question I do have to ask you. You finished off Thieves' Town. That was your 7th and final Crystal Dungeon.
Oh.
You had access to Ganon's Tower.
Yep.
What had you going into Swamp Palace over going into GT?
It's all dungeons. Gotta do it anyway. Honestly, I felt like I should have done Swamp first, just because it's a little easier to collect all the items in the way. With Thieves, you're spending a little couple extra screen transitions to like get the big chest. Most of the chests are on the way. It's really just wasting a little bit of time on the big chest. I'm like, maybe I should have done Swamp instead, because I didn't really care which I was going to do both of them. It's like, and also if I had done Swamp first and it gave me my go mode, I could have used the Thieves key and just like cut right into the doorway for the back half. So could have saved a little bit of time, but unfortunately I picked Thieves first.
Just think of how
I'm going to clear out I'm like, I know it could be in GT. It's a super dense location, but it's also all dungeons. Let me clear out Swamp. And it turned out to be Green Pendant, which I didn't know at the time. I was going to check. I'm going to check your fetch quest, guys. check one thing before I commit to GT, because I've been burned in my practice going into GT looking for items and nothing's there. Like, it's a dense location, but it can also waste a ton of time if things aren't there.
Just think of how that decision...
That would have been the difference in the race if you had gone up to GT and found nothing in the basement. Certainly not progression there. That very easily could have swung the race the other way.
Yeah.
Just think of how that decision would have been if you back at the beginning of this league, when Diver Down was still to be questioned whether it was going to be legalized by the Racing Council.
Yeah, Diver Down I've been utilizing quite a bit. It's on the way, but ultimately it's only a difference of like about 20 seconds.
Right. I more mean of those two chests there that are underneath the water.
Right, yeah,
that would have been the equivalent of the Thieves Town big chest.
Yeah, it feels a lot better than it does save time, right? If that makes sense, it makes those chests a lot nicer to do, a lot less annoying, but doesn't, is saving, on the order of a couple seconds either way.
It's a small difference, but like you said, it's the mental, these chests are now on the way, versus I have to run down and go through a doorway to get these two chests after watching a cut.
Now, speaking of that cane, though, a thing that is significantly nicer and significantly with that cane of Samaria and the Icebreaker glitch is Ice Palace, right? And you went into Ice Palace and you full cleared Ice Palace without the cane and without the hook shot. When was the last time you had to do that?
It doesn't happen often, but
no.
My motto is let's do ice. I had the big key to ice. I was really hoping to get a small key to Ice Palace rather than cane, because then it just makes routing it a little better. Although cane itself saves like a minute and a half. So yeah. I'm like, I want something to make ice, but I have the big key to ice. I'm gonna go clear this.
Yeah, and that big key is really interesting. That was in the back of Blind's hut, which Ramond forgot to check. And bombed it open and never opened the chest. And we're sitting there for an hour waiting for that to pay off. Luckily it turned out, luckily for him at least, it turned out that it was just a piece of heart or whatever. But that would have been a game-ending error, like 3 minutes into the seed.
Getting the Ice Palace big key did help me, like, push me towards ice. I forgot if I actually got anything good there. I think I got powder.
Powder was there, but there wasn't anything else yet.
But yeah, so it like pushed me to going towards it. Like I said, I was just looking for an Ice Palace small key, maybe the cane, just something like that beforehand. Little did I know Sphere 1 had the cane, but
nah.
Yeah. At least I didn't isolate catfish. I was thinking about it, but catfish didn't have anything. But still, I have a habit of isolating like certain location. And this time it was Ice Rod Cave.
And we saw on Ramond's side, he ended up not doing Pinball Room.
So he missed out on that Tempered Sword as well, unfortunately. I would have loved to ask him about that. Unfortunately, Ramond is it's a little bit it's a little late in the evening for Ramond, and so he left without an interview. I would have liked to know about that Ice Palace.
Maybe he didn't have a small key, or did he?
I think so. What the assumption that we're working under is that I gather he plays a lot of cross keys. And in cross keys, that chest is always guaranteed to be a Skullwood small key, still. And so, I totally get that. It was some adjustments for me, certainly, to work in checking that chest when V31 came out and that logic chain got changed.
Yeah, it's understandable that we don't have an interview from Ramond here, since it's 12:23 his time, as Team Awesome is based out of Central Europe.
But Jet, any last words for us on this seed after this nice win?
I'm glad that's over with. That seed in particular. I wish Megalot the best of luck. I'll wish Team Awesome a little bit of luck, but I want Megawatt to have more luck.
Yes.
Enough luck to bring about a game number 5.
That's what we all want. Everybody wants a game 5. We want as much awesome rando as we can. Do you have an idea, just before we let you go, do you have an idea when that match is going to get scheduled? Obviously, you're not in before, so I wouldn't necessarily expect you to.
Yeah, my match itself probably will be like Sunday. It really depends on when Megawatt gets his. Because I'm planning for the weekend because Team Awesome's over in Europe. So we're probably going to do earlier their time, or our time. Well, in time in general.
Well, yeah. So we'll see if Megawatt's still in chat. We'll see if he pops up with when that race is going to. But a reminder, trying to figure out who the winner of this series is going to play in the grand final, game 4 of the series in the Light World Conference Championships is tomorrow evening. That features Gamachu of Team Kappa versus Paraime of Kinda Rando Retired. Team Kappa currently with a 2-1 lead in that series.
Yeah, that was a 2-0 series lead heading into game number 3. And they, too, just like Vandanda Drifters, did force a game number 4. And it's going to be tomorrow night, 8:10 p.m. Eastern, on a SpeedGaming channel to be determined real soon, I'd have to assume. So with that being done, let's go ahead and wrap things up here because we're running on a little bit long here with the interview process. Be sure to follow both of these runners, Jet as well as Ramond. They did a great run here. They like to burn this seed, but they did a great run here, showcasing their talents here in this game number 3. Also, be sure to thank SoCool2044 for clicking the buttons behind the scenes. A very tireless job, especially in these key sanity seeds. Thank you, SoCool, for all you have done. And Tyler Salt, it's been fun working with you.
It has been an absolute pleasure, Rick. Hope we get to do this again. GG's to Jet and to Ramond as well. Thank you all for joining us here today, and we will see you tomorrow night at 8:10 p.m. Eastern on SpeedGaming for more League playoff action. Good night, everybody.